All right. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on today, and thanks for having me on today. I'm going to be talking about Webview, the new Webview UI and Bolt UXP. And Bolt UXP is our framework for building UXP plugins faster. Some intro on myself. I'm Justin Taylor. I am the founder of Hyperbrew. And what is Hyperbrew? Well, we automate the boring so you can create the amazing. And what does that look like? Well, we build custom plugins for Adobe Creative Cloud. This is us at Adobe Max this year in LA. And we build all sorts of projects from desktop apps that communicate with multiple Adobe and non-Adobe host apps to intelligent edit assistants for Premiere Pro that identify footage, identify text, automate edits for editorial, and template engines for After Effects that can read data, generate multiple versions of templates, queue them up for rendering. So basically, whatever our clients need, what they can't find off the shelf, come to us for. We can build them custom solutions. And open source is a win for everybody. When we're not building client projects, we like to invest in open source projects for ourselves, for the community, and just to improve the development system for everybody. We have frameworks for UXP, CEP, Adobe Express, and Figma currently. A lot of these have been backed by different people. Adobe has been a big supporter, AE Scripts, Figma, and a lot of our own contributions, of course, as well. But yeah, anytime we're not totally busy with client work, we love to improve the overall systems for ourselves and for the community in the future. So today we're going to be taking a look at Bolt UXP and the latest features we have in Bolt. And I've talked about Bolt a few times on the office hours here, but if you're not familiar, I'm just going to give a quick overview of what Bolt UXP is, and then dive into the new feature set with Webview UI. So what is Bolt UXP? Bolt UXP is a lightning fast framework for building Adobe UXP plugins in React, Svelte, or Vue. And it's built on Vite TypeScript. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay. Thanks for the catching that. I'm back. Let me see if I can get my screen back. That was weird. Okay. We good? Can you guys see it again? Oh. Don't know how that happened. Okay, are we good now? Everyone can see and hear everything? Okay, perfect. Thank you for catching that. Anyway, so Bolt is a framework for building UXP plugins with React, Svelte, or Vue, built on Vite, TypeScript, and Sass. So you can start a new plugin with npm yarn or pnpm, depending on your preference. You can use Svelte, React, or Vue as your UI framework. We have full type safety, type defs for Photoshop, Premiere Pro, UXP APIs, and type safe manifest settings. Currently, it's working in Premiere, Photoshop, InDesign, and of course, more Adobe apps yet to come as they're switching to UXP. And a big feature of Bolt is instant hot reloading. So Vite powers the quick refreshing whenever you hit save. You can instantly see your changes. And we also come with C++ hybrid ready. So that means that we have templates for Xcode and for Visual Studio. So if your UXP plugin needs to reach into C++ space to do certain functions, we have templates and build scripts and signing scripts all set to go for you there. Optimized build size. So Vite uses rollup when it comes to build time. That way you have the smallest bundle size possible, fastest uploads and downloads. And we also have fast packaging to CCX and zip, so it's easier than ever to ship your plugins to your clients or to your audience. And there's so much more I don't have time for today. A unified API setup, theme aware, CLI execution, and a bunch of other things. So since we launched Bolt UXP back in March of 2024, we've seen some great success. It's been used by Fortune 500 companies. It's used in the AE Scripts official framework and a bunch of public tools, some of them listed here. But what's next? Of course, we always want to make Bolt UXP better. So a big struggle for us whenever we're building UXP projects and for a lot of the community is the user interface. So if you spend any time building UXP plugins or you spend time in the forums, you'll know how many issues there are when you're trying to port existing complex UIs into the UXP space. So this was something we wanted to tackle. We were exploring various solutions, and the best solution we came up with was a Webview UI. So what a Webview UI does is it's basically a full-featured user interface for UXP. So now things like CSS animations, JavaScript DOM events, full HTML support. Basically anything you can do in Safari on Mac or Edge on Windows, you can now do in UXP. And so with this layer, of course, this is going to add complexity. So we don't say WebView is for everybody. For the developers who need it, it's a big time saver. You don't have to spend time hunting down different UI issues. You can just say, okay, the UI is going to work as expected. We had a little bit of complexity between communication, but then we don't have to spend time debugging all the UI stuff. We have type safe messaging between the WebView and the UXP backend. So you can think of it sort of like CEP in a way, where you have, your CEP layer and then your extend script backend. In this case, it's a WebView UI layer, and then the backend is just UXP as you know it. But we have type safety to make it more reliable and predictable when you're communicating back and forth. All right, so that's it for the presentation. Let's do a live demo. All right, so I'm gonna pull up VS Code here. So to get started, we can just run yarn create Bolt UXP. Is that size good for you guys? Can you see that okay? Okay, awesome. So yeah, you can just use yarn or npm or pnpm. I like yarn myself. So that's just gonna go ahead and start up the startup script. So we have this nice CLI prompt sequence here that we can just follow along with. So where do we want to create our project? I'll say test WebView, Bolt UXP WebView. For a name, we pick a unique ID. I'm going to use React, or I'll use Svelte. I'll do Photoshop, InDesign, and Premiere. I'll include hybrid for now. And so this is the one thing that's changed. If you want to use WebView, you're going to want to select yes. Now, again, if you're brand new to UXP or new to Bolt UXP, I would recommend not using WebView because it does add complexity. But if you've built a few UXP plugins and now you want to try the Webview UI, then go ahead and hit yes. And then we're going to install dependencies, keep code sample snippets, and we are off to the races building a new plugin. All right, so now I'm going to follow the steps here, cd into test, WebView, and then I'm just going to open up a new code window here, code period. So that's just going to open up a new VS Code window in that directory. So these are all the files we just generated. Just like before, all of our source files live in source, and then now we have this new WebView UI folder with all of our WebView. So basically, it's two builds that are happening. So we're going to cd into the WebView UI. We're just going to install those dependencies. And then now we can say yarn build. So that's going to build this first layer here inside of the WebView. Now we're going to go back up to the main directory. And now from now on, we can just stay in the main directory and run commands here. So I'm going to run yarn build. So we need to do one initial build to get all of our manifest and build files and stuff in place. As we see, it says WebView UI enabled. And then now we can start dev mode. And dev mode means that we can use hot reloading and all that stuff. You hit save, everything updates right away. So I'm going to run yarn dev. All right, now we're in dev mode. And so if we come to our dist folder, this is where all of our files are output to. So I'm going to copy the path for the manifest. And then I'm going to go into Photoshop, and we have UDT opened over here. So I'm going to click add plugin in UDT, go to that manifest file. Okay, and now we can load it up in Photoshop. And let me drag that on screen. Here is our Bolt UXP panel with WebView. And so you can see, look, we have CSS animations, something you could never do in regular UXP right off the bat. We have basic alerts. We can get project info that we're making a call to Photoshop. We can get UXP info, all this stuff. So again, there's two layers here. So if you're familiar with regular UXP development, you would debug by pressing the debug button, and you get all your logs here. Now to debug in the WebView layer, we're just going to right click and say inspect. And now that's going to give us our console here. So if we need to debug stuff in the WebView layer, that's going to be here. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for starting up a new panel. And then I don't really have time to dive into the code too much right now, but just to show you an example of like, how do you actually call something from WebView into the UXP? It's really simple. For instance, if we wanted to run that script, we set it up where you just say api.notify, and then you can pass in a path, and you can actually just hit F12, and that'll take us to the actual command. And this is on the UXP side. So let's see here, we're actually calling, native Photoshop commands, and returning results. And this is all type safe, so we know exactly what the arguments are, what to expect in return. So that's quick overview. Check out the README for more in-depth details on exactly how everything works, how the communication works, how to do different things. But we have more stuff as well, like communication from UXP to the WebView, from the WebView to UXP, and also theme awareness, for changing colors and all that good stuff. So yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here. So if you want to try out Bolt UXP today, it's totally free and open source. Head over to hyperbrew.co/Bolt UXP, or you can start in your console with yarn create Bolt UXP and just turn on that Webview UI option and you're set to go. We also have a Discord. We have over 600 developers sharing tips and tricks on Adobe tool development. So be sure to join that if you're not in there already. And of course, if you need priority support, we do consulting and development. That's how we survive. So feel free to reach out to us if you need help. And if you're using Bolt in your projects, let us know. We love to share projects on our socials, on our website, see what you're building in public with Bolt CP, UXP, any of the Bolt projects. We'd love to repost those. So yeah, if you're building something, tell us about it. Awesome. Well, that's it for today. But thank you so much.